Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that is going to show you exactly why I never buy potting mix or seed starting mix at all anymore. So I'm going to take you to the store and show you exactly what to look for, and then I'm going to take you in the basement and show you exactly how to mix this stuff up, including the exact recipe, so that by the end of this video you will know exactly how to formulate your own seed starting mix. And then at the end of the video I will show you how we can convert this to an even cheaper form for filling pots and filling grow bags and things like that outside for the main season gardening. So I'm going to say some things about it and then we'll get into it. Now, the first thing that we have to understand is that there is seed starting mixture and all other potting soils and things like that. The seed starting mixture has to be quite benign, okay? It can't be rich in nutrients because the plant is not big and strong enough yet to develop the correct amount of osmotic pressure if the soil has a lot of nutrients in it, okay? So that's just a complicated way of saying it won't be able to draw up water and nutrients if there's a lot of nutrients in the soil. So we need something really gentle so that we don't burn the plants. However, we have to remember that all of these seed starting mixtures are actually soilless growing media, okay? There's no soil in any of that stuff. Any of those bags from the store, there's no soil in there. Soil is a combination of sand, silt, and clay plus microbes. And if you have a combination of those things, the plant will be able to get what it needs from that for the most part. But in a soilless growing media, we have to add the nutrients. There's no nutrients in the peat moss or the coco coir or the perlite or the vermiculite, whatever it is that you're using. There's no actual nutrients for the plant. So we have to add everything in there. That is something to keep in mind. Then when we come back, I'm going to break it down for you and show you exactly how this is literally saving you half. 50% cheaper than the stuff you get from the store, and it is vastly superior. Okay, my friends, so here we are at the store, and first thing I want to show you is some bags that we do not want. And here is 1.5 cubic feet for $10. Okay, the price isn't totally outrageous, but when we look to see what it is derived from, this is very important. Okay, this is an organic one, but when you see in here processed forest products, they are pretty much talking about wood chips. And so you can almost guarantee if I took this bag apart and did an analysis, you would see huge handfuls of chunks of wood, undecomposed wood chips. And that is not what we want for seed starting, guys. We cannot have those air pockets that would create. It will just spell problems for us. So we come over to this other non-organic stuff and we see what the nutrients are derived from. Polymer coated ammonium nitrate, calcium phosphate. No, this is chemical farming. Okay, we do not want this stuff. Again, processed forest products means huge chunks of wood chips in your stuff, which we do not want for seed starting. So when we go on to this next soil, any of these soils that says feeds for up to 6 months or feeds for this and that, it's going to have stuff in it because remember, this is soilless growing media. So when we look at it, it says derived from polymer coated homogeneous ammonium nitrate, potassium sulfate. This is chemical farming, industrial ag chemicals that we do not want in our soil. What you got to look for is straight up peat moss. See, this bag will expand to 4 cubic feet for $13, okay? So when we look at this, these are like shrunk wrap, okay? This peat moss comes in like a compressed brick. So don't let it fool you. This is actually a lot of mass here. Now, when we turn it around and we look at it, we're going to see that it's 100% sphagnum peat moss. This is what we want for the seed starting and for filling our beds. Next thing is going to be the perlite, guys. Perlite is very important to keep the mixture from becoming too condensed, okay? But this is actually very expensive here. We're only getting 8 quarts for $5. This is the one you want, and I will put a link in the description. You get 120 quarts for $43, guys. So next ingredient is going to be the pulverized lime. Now, this is just straight up lime that has been ground into a powder. Very important that we do not get this one, which is hydrated lime. This is calcium hydroxide, a totally different thing that can burn the roots. We want the powdered lime. Now, this is garden lime. This is the calcium carbonate as well, except that it is pelletized, and we do not want that. And we're only getting 2.5 pounds for $5 instead of that 40-pound bag you just saw for $5. Okay, so it's extremely cheap. We're not even going to take that into consideration when we're doing our cost analysis. But here is a bag of seed starting mix, and you can see $6 for 8 quarts, and it just has coir, perlite, and some fertilizers. Okay, so we got all of our ingredients back to the basement. Now, guys, don't be afraid by how much I got because I'm doing a lot, okay? You don't need this much, but here are the ingredients. The peat moss, the worm castings. Now, guys, I highly, highly recommend worm castings. It's everything the plant is going to need for its life cycle indoors. Now, I highly suggest against using compost for seed starting because of how many critters and eggs of insects and fungi and molds and all kinds of stuff, which is normally good, but not for seed starting. Okay. Next thing is going to be that lime, guys. This is going to help to buffer the acidic nature of the peat moss. We want that powdered stuff just like this. Okay. Get you that nice fine powdered lime, and that is going to work perfectly fine to buffer the pH. Next thing is going to be that perlite, guys. You want that huge bag of perlite because this stuff is awesome. And once it's there, it doesn't go away. Remember, this stuff doesn't decompose. It just helps to aerate the soil. So step one is we are going to take 5 gallons of the peat moss. And yes, it will come in big chunks like this. Don't worry about it. We're just making rough estimates of the amounts. So 5 gallons of the peat moss. We're going to take 3 gallons of the perlite. All right. Now make sure you're wearing a mask when you do this because the stuff can get a little bit dusty. Then we're going to take 2 gallons of the worm castings and we're going to dump those in there. And then we are going to take 1/2 cup of the powdered lime. And this is going to help to buffer the pH and make sure that everything is fine for them tender little roots. Remember, do not use hydrated lime. So you want to make sure you mix that stuff up well, guys, and you want to make sure that you pull out the little twigs. Now, from this stuff, that's all the twigs I got from that whole entire bushel right there. That's all the twigs that I got. If this was regular potting soil mix, you get that whole gallon would be full of mulch. But just make sure that you pick them all out and that has good, that is well mixed up. And then you want to put it into its pots. Now, I do not pre-moisten it. I like the good flowability that comes with having it a little bit dry like this. I'm going to then moisten them after they are in the pots by overhead watering. But if I do it beforehand, it tends to clump up and not fill as easily. And when you got a lot of them to fill, you want to do it right. And so I am using my Bootstrap Farmer trays with the holders and everything. I love these things. And I got a lot of them to do, guys. So it's very important when you've got this much stuff to do, it's very important to keep them organized. Which brings me to the topic of pots. Now, this is very important, guys, because I cannot tell you how many people have contacted me or how many consultations I do where people are starting their seeds in way too small of pots or way too big. Now, too small of pots and you will not have enough moisture buffering zone and not enough nutrient holding capabilities for the plant to really thrive. They can quickly outgrow those real tiny, like the 72, per 10 by 20 tray. In my opinion, that is, unless you're a professional grower in a greenhouse or you have specific experience or need for that, that's way too small, okay? So what I have settled on are these amazingly high quality Bootstrap Farmer trays, which just so happen to be the sponsor of today's video, so thank you guys very much. However, as most of my audience knows, I've already been using and promoting the Bootstrap Farmer stuff for several years now because it's incredibly high quality. All right, so we've got 3 sizes. We've got the 2-inch, we got the 3.5-inch, and we got the 5-inch. Now, the 5-inch we're actually not going to use in the springtime because these we're going to use for the fall garden startup. So for you guys to simplify everything, most things that you will need to start up only need the 2-inch. Okay, that's plenty of soil, not too much, not too little. Now the 3.5-inch is good for things like your tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, watermelon, things that you don't want to get root bound and things that might get a little bit bigger indoors. But everything else virtually, this 2-inch is just fine. And each size pot comes with its own insert tray that can hold, you see, and we can bottom water from this tray down here. Really nice setup, guys. Do yourself a favor, get you a couple sets of these pots. They will last several years. And they are really going to streamline your operation, okay? I have videos showing how to do like the red solo cup thing, and that works if you've got zero money to invest, but They break after 1 year, so you gotta buy new ones each year, and they look like kind of trash all over your garden and stuff. These are on like their 3rd or 4th year already, going strong, guys. But just a word on pot size. Now, listen, this one here is 14 cubic inches of soil, which is plenty for most plants. Now this one, which doesn't seem that much bigger, is actually 36 cubic inches of soil. So it's 2.5 times the amount of soil just in that, okay? So like I said, get you a couple sets of the 2-inch ones and the inserts and the trays, and you are good to go. Check out the link in the description where you can get the exact stuff I'm working with here. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is cost of this seed starting mix. Now, I've done the math here, and you can just take a screenshot or just trust me. And it works out, our recipe works out to about 40 cents per quart. That stuff from the store works out to be about 81 cents per quart. So it is literally twice as expensive as the stuff that we're making ourselves. And the stuff from the store is guaranteed to be an inferior product to what we have just made. Now, as promised, if you guys want to use this as a mixture to fill your grow bags, okay? The worm castings can get really expensive, okay? You can replace it with compost. You can replace it with homemade compost if you have that when you want to fill, like, say, your 30-gallon grow bags for the season. Or you can use this recipe instead, which we still use 5 gallons of the peat moss. We're still going to use 3 gallons of the perlite, but here we're going to use only 1 cup of the Viking granular nutrients or something similar. And if you guys want more of that Viking granular nutrients, I'm mixing up a whole lot for you so I can send it out to you. But doing it like that only costs roughly 29 cents a quart, guys. And remember, this is soilless growing media, so we have to add the nutrients because there are no nutrients in this soilless growing media. So we have to add everything, okay? So if you're trying to do the math, it's roughly $1 to $1.10 per gallon of soil that you're trying to fill in your bags. But remember, when you use this peat moss perlite mixture, you can spread that out over several seasons. It doesn't just go away. You can use it 3, 4, 5 seasons, and then you can incorporate it as a nice soil amendment into your compost or into your garden beds or whatever it is. So it's a win-win. So there you go, my friends. Let us know in the comments what your secret seed starting recipe is, what you use to fill your pots with. Do you have a better way that you have found, more economical? This is the best way that I have found, and this is the exact recipe that I use when you see me get that massive success with things like the ginger. I'm using this exact recipe, okay? These are the exact recipes I'm using to get massive success. So take it for what it is. And we will see you guys right here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time for the live Q&A. Be on the lookout for the next video, which is going to be a nice seed starting setup so that you can get starting them seeds not too early, but not too late.